Hey guys, in today's video, we're checking out a cool little passive mixer. This is the MickXer, spelled M-I-C-K-X-E-R by MyVolts. And it's 5 in and 1 out, or 1 in with 5 out. Completely passive and doesn't need any batteries. This thing is really cool. I've been a fan of MyVolts for a while. They have something called a ripcord where you can power all of your gear with USB. I've switched almost all of my power supply cables into the MyVolts ripcord, so I was really happy that they sent me this to check out. I'm actually a live looper when I perform solo. This thing has actually been really awesome because I need to get drums, keys, and guitar all into one signal to go into looping. So this thing's actually been really awesome for me. I'm not being paid anything to say it. They did just send me it to check out and it fit perfectly in my setup. So I'm doing a video about it. So I'm going to go over how this works. I'm going to do a demo. I'm going to explain some of the specs, see, a few things that you might want to need if you do decide to get this. But overall, I think this is an awesome little device. And again, it doesn't need any power. And I'm going to review it and see if it's right for you. So before we get started, I post videos like this all the time. Stuff on wireless, gear reviews, finding cheap stuff for musicians on Amazon, in-ear monitors, MIDI programming, stuff like that. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to ring the bell to be notified when I put out new videos. And if you find this content helpful, hitting the like button is a free way to support the channel. All right, let's get started. All right, this is about as basic as it gets. So you have 5 in and 1 out, but this also can be used in reverse, 1 in and 5 out, which is really cool. But all the inputs are stereo. So let's just say you're using it 5 in and 1 out. It's all 5 stereo inputs and then 1 output. And then it has a sticky back, so you can peel off like this protection on the back so that you can stick it somewhere specifically if you want to, which is really cool. I mean, that's basically it. You basically plug 5 cables in and then 1 cable out, or the opposite, 1 cable in and 5 cables out. And they are 3.5 millimeter or 1/8 inch inputs and outputs, but that shouldn't be a problem for most of you. You might just need some adapters, and I'm going to address that here in a little bit. This thing is super light and super small. You can see compared just the size of my hand. I mean, this is about the tiniest 5 input or 5 output mixer you can find, for sure. I haven't seen anything this portable, and especially the fact that it doesn't need power or batteries is really cool. All right, so just looking online at some of the specs. So this is the MyVolts MickXer, spelled in this unique way, a 5-way passive mixer with noise filtering, which is really cool. So it's a 5-way passive mixer with 5 stereo input channels and 1 stereo output channel, each with an 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter connection. Gives a high quality, balanced, noise reduced output, sustainable for recording or live setups. And I'm going to be using this live. So you can mix down 5 inputs down to 1 input. Of course, you can just use like 1 or 2 if that's all you need. So it contains noise filtering technology, which is really cool, which removes irritating ground, loop hums, and other noises. This thing is fully passive, so it doesn't need any power supply or batteries. It is possible to daisy chain this, which is really cool. So you can get way more options out of that. This is also really interesting, is that it will also work as an audio signal splitter. But as I mentioned, do be aware that amplification is required to drive headphones. I mean, this is a passive one, so you don't have a way to turn up or down the signal, which is fine for me, which in the way I use it, just keep that in mind if you need some sort of way to turn up or down the signal. But for me, it's fine, and I'll give you some gear recommendations if you need it. It does come in 3 colors, black, red, or cool gray, and I have the red one. So when I perform live, I have a cover set that I do where I just do live looping, and I play multiple instruments. And what I've been doing is I use an app called Quantaloop, and it is an iPad app. So I have to get my signal all into the iPad. So I have guitar, I have drums from the SPDSX, I have a keyboard, and then I have a MIDI controller called the Air Ray Touch, which is a really cool device, by the way. So check that out. If you haven't heard of this thing, it's really cool. And I also have a MIDI pickup on my guitar. I use the Fishman Triple Play. So I have a bunch of different signals that need to go into my looper. I have been using a BEHRINGER Micro Mix, and it's worked, but it is pretty noisy. So I have to make sure that, you have to set the levels right. And there is just a tiny bit of buzz that gets kind of picked up when I use the micro mix. So this thing has really saved me, which is really cool. So here's just a demo. I've just plugged in 5 different inputs, and it's just running it, and I'll play each one of them, and it's going straight in to my mix. It's going straight into my Apollo interface. No post-processing or anything like that. It's just going in 1 channel into Logic. And you can hear how just dead quiet this is and how well this works for me. So that's really cool. I mean, this thing works great. It's super compact, and it's exactly what I needed, actually. The other thing that's really cool about this is that I don't know how they do this, but it does work in the opposite as well. If you plug in to the single input in the back, you can split the signal out 5 different ways. So you can use this as a splitter, so 1 in and 5 out, or 5 in. I'm not doing this right. You guys have to see this. So 5 in, 1 out, or 1 in and 5 out. And I did test that. It does work for both. It's pretty cool. So just a few things to keep in mind. So it is completely passive, and that's a benefit of this, is that you don't have to plug in any power. So it's completely passive. So you do have to have control over the volume of your instruments. So for me, on my SPDSX, if I need more drums, I turn it up on the drums. If I need more guitar, I turn it up on my HX Stomp, so on and so forth. And if you're going to send it into headphones, you're going to need something like a little headphone amplifier. This is the Behringer P2. I did a video on this. It runs off of 2 AAAs, and you can turn up or down the volume. So if you do need to turn up or down the volume of something, like post especially, you're going to need something like this. Just keep that in mind. This thing does not provide power, or you have a way to change gain or volume. The other thing to keep in mind is that it is 3.5 millimeter. So you are going to need to get this into 3.5 millimeter. And the part of that is what makes this so compact is that that's the smallest input that you can get. So just make sure that you do have some adapters. And I will post links down below on where you can buy some adapters to go from like 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch, stereo or mono, TRS or TS. And then while we're on the topic, MyVolts actually is coming out with these things. They're called the candy cords. These things are really cool. So they're kind of some bright colors, like sweet tart colors or something like that, which is kind of cool. They do come in all different configurations. So like this purplish one is a TS cable and has right angle for 1/4 inch. So this could be used for guitar. And then like this one, this orangish one, is a TRS cable with 1/4 inch on one side and TRS 3.5 millimeter on the other side, and they are both right angle, which is something that I really like about these. That's kind of rare to find. So check those out if you do need specific cables. They do offer these type of cable adapters if you need them. So check those out as well. So overall, this thing is awesome. I really love what MyVolts is doing. I'm adding this to my setup for live looping, and it's really helped me out. And it's pretty cheap. It's only like 20, 21 bucks right now. Super helpful just to have one of these. Even if you aren't going to use it with your setup, just having it in a pinch, just to have as a backup in case if you need to combine signals in order to get, for whatever reason, you need to combine inputs. So thank you guys for watching. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you found this video helpful. I definitely would appreciate it. Check out the other 2 videos I've done. I've done reviews on 2 other MyVolts product. I've done their ripcord, which again, I've replaced almost all my power cables with that. It's such a cool little device to power your gear with a USB cable, which is really cool. And they also have a way to replace, instead of using batteries, you can actually use USB. It's really cool other device that they made. So instead of using batteries, you can just power your gear with USB. So if you have like a battery powered device, you can plug it into either a wall outlet and just never run out of power, or to like a portable USB bank and use that. It's really cool. So check out both of those videos. Links are on the screen now. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages, Scott Ewell Music, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any other cool gear you want me to check out, leave a comment down below. Always interested in checking out new gear, especially if it helps make my life easier. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you next time.